Hey guys, Ramblin Bob here again with an update with the E1500LFP. Now those of you who've been following this channel for this particular model, remember the last video that I made, I think it was update number 8. This will be number 9. Remember that we had that test where we plugged in this, which is the light that's over there. Just to give you a reminder of what it does. See that? That's the light for above my workbench there. And it wouldn't register up to 10 watts on the output inverter for the AC. So I did a lot of testing, and we tested 8 other power stations. And here we have 1, 2, 3, oh boy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, eight other power stations here in this stack alone. And we tested this theory just to see if it had anything to do with this particular model, or that's a normality in the inverter world of the either car inverters or power sogens, if they call them solar generators, or battery packs, or whatever these things are called, because we call them power supplies. They used to have like 3 different names. So I thought I'd run a test, and we ran it a few times to make sure. So I thought I'd make a video about it, explaining what we found out with that improper reporting of the 10 watts or less. So here's what we found out. Let me grab this little camera here, and we're going to move it around. Now I have the light on the system. I'm going to put it down to 5 watts. Remember, the low is 5 and the high is 10 watts. And I want to show you something interesting that we found on other power stations and not just the E1500LFP. Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay, so it's down to approximately 5 watt draw. And then how we can test that is that way everybody sees the full transparency of the test here. Okay, so notice that that system here is going to register about 5 watts, okay? And then if you hold on 1 second, I'll put it to high real quick just so we can knock those 2 out of the ballpark right away. Now it's to high, and notice that the kilowatt meter goes to 10 watts. Okay, so we have our base readings again. Okay, so if you give me 1 second, I got to put it down back to low. Okay. I don't have Mrs. Ramblin Bob here today. She's out there working, and otherwise she could be doing the lights on the other side of the room. So I'm going to show you the interesting thing that I found out. Okay, so if let's take this system for instance, and we're going to try all of them, all of these in a row. If I plug this in on low, now remember that was a 5 watt draw. Okay, now the negative up here is the DC, and the bottom one is AC. So we'll let it go for a few seconds, and notice that this one registers 5 watts. Okay. And we'll let it go, we'll let it go. Okay, 5 watts. So this one registers very accurately with low power draws, okay? So now we'll go up to, and this is the E1500LFP. Now we're gonna go up to the TIMEUSB G300 model. Okay, turn this light on. This is a TIMEUSB G300, little 300 watt power station. Now notice on this one, it doesn't recognize it all. Now remember, we're obviously drawing out 5 watts, right? Okay, so we'll just give it a second here. That way we give it a fair amount of time for each test on each power station. Oop, got to turn the light back on. Okay, so I think that's long enough. Now notice it says AC out 0 watts. USB out 0, and the DC out 0. I do like this power station because it has 3 different meters, so that's pretty cool. But notice that that light, as I'll unplug it now, that light did not register on this meter because it was 5 watts. Okay, so now we're going to go to the Bluetti AC2A. Okay, plug that in, and here's the output right here. We'll wait for that. Okay, and as you can see, the light get brighter in the room. That's the same draw that we're using over there, the 5 watt low and the 10 watt high. Okay. Now notice, see how it doesn't register? 5 watts. It's supposed to say 5 watts. Now this is a brand new power station, right? This is an AC2A. This only came out a few months ago. But notice it's not registering any output at all. So we're going to go into the EB3A. Now this is another Bluetti model, and we're going to plug that in. Remember, that's a 5 watt draw. Now notice this one. What the heck? It says 10 watts, right? 10 watt output. So this one is obviously much different than this one. Okay, so for those of you keeping track, write these down because it's a very interesting find. Okay, so now we know that's very, very solid. Okay, remember the base was 5 and 10 watts, low and high. And then this is AC70 by Bluetti. It's a brand new power station that just came out not too long ago as well. So this one, as you'll see if you give it a second here, notice that it doesn't register any output. Now I'm using the exact same string, right? Same plug, same light, same string on all these power stations. Okay, notice that the input, nothing, output, nothing, input, nothing, output, nothing. So it's 100% zeroed out. So it doesn't, this system is unable to register 5 watts, right? Oop. Okay, still 0, right? All right, so now we're going to try another one. We're going to go way over here, and this is an Energizer PP, I believe it's a PPS 320. And we're going to plug that in, and notice right away it picked up. And it picked up only at 3 watts. Right? Oh, here's 4 or 3. Now remember, that's a 5-watt draw. Remember that? So here we're kind of settling on 4. Okay. So we figured this one comes out at 4 watts. Same plug, same lights. And then we'll also do this test again on 10 watts, which is the high. Now this is a very old one. This is a Mylan 640 watt-hour power station. It doesn't even have a model number that I know of. It's just a 640 watt-hour. So we'll plug this in. And it's upside down, of course, okay? Now, this one's very hard to see, so I got to get real close because the screen, I think, is getting ready to go on this one. I think it's time. You know what I mean? I think it's time. So notice that that one, it kicked up to 4 watts and then went back. Oh, there's 4 watts again. So I think it's going to set and balance on, or settle on 4 watts, right? Oh, I saw a 5 in there. Okay, back down to 4. So this one's very jumpy. Now, I expect this one to be kind of weird because it's an older model power station, and it was not made with the best parts. However, it got the job done for a long time. Okay, so we're going to do one more here. Now, this is number 6. 6 tests in a few minutes here. Now, this is the Oukitel EP3001. And what we're going to do here is we're going to plug this bad boy in here, and then you're going to watch this output right here. Notice it kicked up right away. And now notice that that one only says 3 watts out, right? And the reason I'm doing this test, guys, is I got a lot of questions concerning that video that I did, because they were like, "Well, is the machine broken? Is the AC inverter, not working correctly?" What we found out after all these tests, guys, and now I'm going to run over there real quick and switch it to the 10 watts, the higher output, is I guess this is a normality when it comes to the inverter world. So as on this channel, we're learning as we go. So in the inverter world, the same as the multimeter, if you remember how to use a multimeter, if you have 5 different multimeters laying in front of you, and it's not a very, very super duper high quality, I don't know, government regulated, whatever, certified, NIST certified and all that stuff, or whatever that fancy terminology is, then you're going to get variations in the readings because not all of them are 100% accurate, right? I guess that's a normality that we didn't know about here on this channel. So, like I said, as I learn, I learn from my mistakes or misinformation, as far as like, wow, I think I just didn't understand how that worked, and I thought that would be a concerning thing for people who wanted to do low power draws on, that E1500LFP. Let me switch the light real quick, guys. Give me a second. And then we're also going to do another test, which I'll show you. So now I noticed that I switched it to high. So now it's on 10 watts, if you remember. High is 10 watts. But notice that this doesn't change, right? It still thinks it's only 5 watts out. Remember, this is bringing out 10 watts right now. Except this system doesn't recognize that. So I guess the shunts, I guess they're called, and the power inverters and the meters are all not 100%, I don't want to say properly balanced, but there's going to be, depending on who makes the inverters or the quality of the inverters, you're going to have fluctuations in readings, especially at low watts, because there's like background noise and background, like, okay, imagine driving a car, right? And you put it in drive. Now notice the car will move forward, and sometimes the needle, if those of us who are older remember this, that as the car moves forward, the needle doesn't register that you're actually going, even though you're moving at 1 or 2 miles an hour, right? There's a certain limit that it had to recognize for that meter, if you will, to notice that, oh, hey, we're moving. And then it'll start at like 3. Digital speedometers, usually, you can see it a lot better than analog, because analog, it's too hard to read. But a digital is very, very precise as far as the readout, right? So in my car, and I tested this in our old car. We have a 1990 car, so it's pretty old. It's we don't want to throw it away though. We like it. So we tested it, and when you go really, really slow down the driveway, the needle looks like it's still on 0, yet obviously you're moving, right? So until you get to a certain speed, hence power, the meter doesn't really understand that you're moving. I hope that makes sense to you. This is something that we totally learned here on this channel, and every time we learn something new, we try to remind everybody that we have talked to, hey, this is new information we got, and you know, this might help you understand these things better, or the technology behind them. Okay, so remember, this is on 10 watts and it's only showing 5. So now we're going to go back up to the real old one here, which is the Mylon, if you remember, and notice that that's only coming out at, I don't know if you can see that or not. So that's coming out at only 5 watts now. Now you guys remember, I switched it to high. So that's the crazy thing here, is it's actually on high, but it only registers 5. Okay, now we're going to go up to the Energizer once again, and we're going to pop this in this bad boy here. I got to flip. Oh, I had it backwards. Okay, flip that in there, and now notice that that went to 7. Right now, remember our base numbers was 5 on low and 10 on high, but this one only says you're using 7 watts. Crazy, right? So we're going to go to the next one here. We're going to go back to the AC2A by Bluetti. Let's put this on before we plug it in here. Okay, just poke it in there like that, and that will show. Now notice the output is 0, guys, 0. And remember, we're burning 10 watts. And how we can 100% certify that we're burning 10 watts is we'll plug this in here and then put it in here, and then you can watch that meter go. There you go, see, 10. Normally it takes a minute because the meter has to do its job by profiling the power coming out, right? So now we know 100% for sure that this is supposed to be 10 watts, guys. It's supposed to be. And notice once again, now this is a whole different company. This is Bluetti. So some people were saying, well, is it E1500LFP? Is it broken? Is it need an update? I thought it needed maybe a firmware update, but I wasn't sure. And then we learned about the sensitivity of AC inverters, which, like I said, we didn't have that much knowledge on that. This channel, we're still learning as we go. But notice it says that there's no power coming out. Okay, now the difference between this system and the E1500LFP that we know of, we're not 100% sure on this one yet, is on the E1500LFP, hopefully this has it as well, is a self-checking meter that's built inside these things. You can see it in the app. It'll refresh as soon as you plug in a battery. It refreshes this power meter on the fly every few seconds, or up to 15, 30 seconds, something like that. We have never really gotten the interval of it yet. It just kind of happens when it happens. But what that would do is that would refresh the power. So if you ran it like, let's say, 12 hours, it'll understand that because it would constantly be checking to make sure that the battery levels are where the meter says it is. So it's a self-correcting mechanism. That's cool. That's very cool. Okay, let's go back up to here and double check it. Still 0 watts output. Okay, so now we're going to check the EV3A, okay? And all these are pretty good power stations. All these 3 by Bluetti are great. See, now look at this one, guys. Look at this one. This one says the output at 16 watts. 16. And remember, that's only 10. And then we can verify it once again. We'll plug this bad boy in here so we can see it in real time here. Plug this bad boy in there. And notice, see, now it says 18, right? Now it says 18, and this only says 10. So that's the difference in the sensitivity of the shunts in there or the power inverters. And this is something, like I said, we didn't know, and we're more than happy to explain to people, hey, we didn't know this. We're learning as we go. But now we're going to try the AC70. Okay, and look at that. Shows up as 18 watts out. Crazy, right? This is crazy information. But it's good because this is information that if like say you bought one of these, any one of these, and you kind of noticed this by yourself, at least you'd know, oh hey, I heard that guy Rambling Bob talking about that. I guess it's a normal thing in the industry with inverters as far as the sensitivity. And then you know, that way you're not surprised. See, now this one, look, it only says output 5 watts. 5 watts. Now it's only 4 watts, but isn't that's goofy, right? The same exact draw, the same exact light, different power stations, different results, right? And a lot of these have the same battery composition and battery packs as far as the voltage inside, so that shouldn't affect it. But the AC inverter and the power meters and the shunts inside there are probably all different, and that's where you get your variations. Like I said, it would be the same as the multimeter. Those of us who see, look at this one. This one's dead accurate, 10 watts right on the dot. I think this system, let me see. I'm going to click it to low real quick again. Give me 1 second. Okay. Out of all these systems, let's see what that does now. That's dropping down. Look at that. I think out of all these systems, I think the E1500LFP has the most accurate shunt, if you will, out of all the Pecron models that I have. I have 1, 2, 3. I'm about to have 4, so I'm going to test that one as soon as I get it, and then 5 with the E3600LFP. But notice how accurate that is, guys. So this one has a very, very balanced, low draw inverter in there, or a shunt that's more sensitive or something like that. Like I said, we're still learning as far as, like, this is a whole nother division of life. It's like a whole industry. I mean, being an engineer and electrician, that's completely different than what most people think. They think you just plug in this, you know, cord and then it works. Well, you know, there's single phase and dual phase, and there's so many things to learn electricity. Holy cow, guys, that's why they have colleges for it. But this is really good information. So this one is extremely accurate. Okay, so now we know that the draw on the E600LFP is the most accurate as far as this one, or that one, the 1500 to 2000 and the 600. This is a very capable little box. I'm very happy with this little box, but I like all the boxes. But if I was ever to go camping, I probably would take this one because you have a more accurate readout on that thing. Now, I don't know if that can be fixed with the firmware, guys. I'm not sure. According to the industry, I believe you have to change either the shunts or the inverters inside to make them more efficient, or not efficient, more sensitive, more accurate as far as the sensitivity, as far as how much energy is going through. The same as, like I said, when you move your car, if you go real slow, sometimes your speedometer will not pick up the concept of your car moving yet until you hit a certain miles per hour. And some, of course, will go in the, you know, 1/10 of a mile an hour. It'll pick it up right away. You know, like I expect a car that's $100,000 or $200,000 to know exactly how fast you're traveling to the T. You know. Okay, so now there's one other thing I was going to do, and it's this one. Okay, this is a little fan, and it brings out what is known as 2 watts here, and it's actually rated at, let me see my old eyeballs here, it is rated at 3.3 watts. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off that 2 watts off there because I put that on there, and well, it's hard to do that one hand. Give me a second, guys. Let me take that off. Okay, now that's off. Okay, because we're going to recalibrate that. So now we know that this, it says 3.3 watts. So what we're going to do is, it's already on, okay, and we're going to plug it in every system we have here just to see if that affects the DC inverter as well, because remember, that's a different inverter in a lot of these boards. Okay, so this is the E2000LFP. Now notice this one comes out at -2 already, right? That's the power draw of the inverter being on. But now notice on the E1500LFP, it shows 0. Now everything uses energy, guys, when you turn it on. So this normally would register, and then see, now normally this would register, because this one and this one show zeros now, while this one shows number 2. So maybe this one's more accurate or sensitive as far as DC output. So we're going to plug it in here, and now notice that we're starting with 2, so you can't count those because that wouldn't be fair. Now notice you go right to 5, right? So that would be your 3 watts of this little guy here, right? Okay, we'll leave that over here. And then now notice that that would normally say 3, but there's already 2 being used by the inverter. Okay, so now we're going to go up a model here, and this is the E1500LFP. Okay, and now let's see what, now this one has like a slow register. This one takes a second to actually show up on the meter, whether you charge or have a draw on the system. So we'll see just in a second if that shows up. It's still 0. I figure we give it like maybe 5 more seconds to see if it would show up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so notice, guys, that one didn't show up at all. It still registers 0 watts out. Okay, I think that's long enough. It should have showed up by now. Okay, so now notice that on the TIMEUSB, the G300, now notice that that one showed up right to 3 watts. Okay, right on the dot, 3 watts. And remember, that's 3.3 watts. All right, so we're going to go over another one. We're going to go back to the AC2A by Bluetti. And now notice that one. Look at this one, guys. Notice it's all over the place. There's 2 watts, there's 1 watts. Remember, that's the same 3 watt draw. Now it's 3, now it's 1, see? Strange, isn't it? That's strange. So I have a feeling that certain systems have trouble picking up low draws. Look at it, it's all over the board. Let's try the EB3A. The reason I wanted to do this test is because it seemed like I was picking on Pecron's model, the E1500LFP, and in reality we found out that this happens on all power stations for the most part, in some way or another. So now notice this one's not even registering, but the fan's on. Right, the fan's on. But the EB3A doesn't even register that you have any outputs going on. And the DC is on, the AC is on. I have both the inverters on. Isn't that weird, guys? And if I were to pop that out and go right back on camera, right back to the AC2A, notice that the power shows up right away. So now let's go down to the AC70, plug it in this bad boy, and see what that one says. Shows nothing. 0, 0, 0, 0. Now these are the outputs, of course. This is where it would show up the DC output, and that's AC output. And this is AC input, and that's DC input. But notice, guys, it's not registering that that fan is even on, right? And there you go. And then we're going to go to the E1500LFP. Okay. Now notice that that one's on 0 already. But I guarantee there's drawing energy out of there because you can't have 0. You just can't. Now notice that one only says 2 watts. When we know 100% for sure that that's a 3.3 watt fan coming out of there. And then I'll test that at the end. Matter of fact, I can test that right now. I'll plug this bad boy into the AC70. Okay. And then we'll plug this bad boy to convert it. And then we'll plug this USB into here, and that way you can see the watts in real time. Let's see how accurate that meter is, guys. That's almost 100% of what it says on the back of this fan, 3.3, and that says 3.2. Okay. I just didn't want it to seem like I was kind of picking on Pecron's model at all, because we do very, very independent and fair tests here. I don't have a favorite system. I have favorite systems. Well, not a favorite company. I have favorite systems. I don't mind who makes the system. I want the one that works the best for me and the situation that I would be in with said product. That's what I look at. That's the key. That's the key, is to get what works for you and your family. Okay, so we got to turn this on. This one has an automatic shutoff, so I always forget that. See? Now this one says output only 2 watts. And now remember, we confirmed that with the kilowatt meter, that it was actually 3.2 on the kilowatt meter, or 3.3 on the rated label on the back of the thing. But notice that this one's off as well. Okay, and then we're going to go up, and this is the oldest model I have here. Oh boy, we got to get close to see this one. Okay, look at how terrible that screen's getting, guys. It's getting bad. Oh, we got to turn on. That's got to auto off too. Okay, notice that shot up right away to 2 watts. Right, it spiked to 3 and then settled at 2. Now notice that that's off 1 watt. And there you go. All right, we're going to go up another one. Yeah, this is a big thing, guys. If you have a power station and you want to have like a portable refrigerator or freezer outside, guys, make 100% sure you have one that you can either turn off that auto timer, otherwise you lose all your beer, your soda, or your food in your coolers because it'll shut off the power to it. So make sure that you can do that if that's what you want to use it for. And now we're going to go to the Energizer. Okay, plug that bad boy in there, and we'll see. Now notice that one showed the right one, and then it dropped down to 1. Now it dropped down to 0. So this is doing the same as what I think the AC2A was. It was bouncing all over the place. Here's the fan running. Okay. And there you go, 1 watt. What a crazy experiment, huh? And I think what it was, guys, is since, you know, we're obviously still learning on this channel, and we're trying to learn as quick as we can, but boy, there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn in this industry. It's crazy that, so I wasn't really picking on this model, and those who follow this channel know that I don't have a favorite company. I'm very brutal when I dislike something. Like I dislike on this model the lack of AC outputs, right? I wish it had more, but I understand why it doesn't. Maybe 4 would have been nice, but I understand why they put them further apart than this model, right? And the reason for that is as simple as it is when you put a DC power pack there, it wouldn't fit over there, right? So let me see if I can find a DC power pack. I don't know if I have one sitting somewhere here. Oh, here, give me a second. I got one. Okay, so here's a DC power pack, just a little cheapy one here. Now notice that you can plug that in here with no problem. You see the space between those ports. Okay, now if you were to plug that in the E2000 LFP, plug it in here. Oh, both of these. Notice that it's so close to that outlet that you might possibly, I don't know, might not be able to get a cord in there. Let's see if there is enough room. Oh, look at that. There's just enough room, guys. It's very tight, but there is enough room. So they could have put 4 of those little things in there with that amount of space possibly. So, but this is what I thought of right away, is maybe if you were going to plug in one of these, you'd want to have that more space. But now that we confirmed that, they could have possibly had enough room to put 4 of them in there. I think that would have been nice for this model. We also, on this model, we noticed that there was no barrel outputs. These ones, no barrel outputs, guys. So, you know, that's kind of like, even though we don't need it, I know a lot of people in our community that uses these. We don't use them at all for anything, literally anything. But this model does not have that. Oh, I do apologize. There is one right here. I forgot all about it. So that's how many models you have now. That the information can get very confusing, guys. So it does have one. I thought it did not have one. That's how much that I don't use it. I completely forgot, even though it's right in front of my face, that it actually has one. As far as the, let's see, what else didn't we like on this model? A little bit less battery capacity. Of course, we like that one. Because it has a little bit more battery capacity, but this one has the cables on it that are right angle, and it has the auto checking of the system on the fly, where when we put 2,000 watts into this one, when we charge from solar, if you go through the batteries, the power meter has to reset for like 30 minutes to an hour to get this back to 100%. So it'll go up to like, you know, whatever, 92 or 78 or wherever it stops at, you know, depending on how much energy you're going through there compared to here, and then it'll correct itself 1% every 1 to 3 minutes. That's what we averaged. But this one updates on the fly. So if I were to pop out that battery right now, you'll see this, as I'll show you. I'll do it on the fly here. I'm going to take this battery out. It's tough to get out of there, guys. Give me a second here. Okay. Whew, that's a tough thing to get out. Now notice, okay, it went to 58%, right? 50, and see how fast it was? Now watch when I plug it back into the batteries, guys. Okay, watch this number here. All right, give it a second here. Boom, boom, boom. We just gotta wait for it to update. See, we don't know the actual intervals of when this updates, okay? I don't think it was on 58 the whole time. So we'll give it a second here. See, the batteries are not on right now. The light's on the batteries, guys, because I unplugged it like that. Maybe did I plug it in? See how the batteries didn't pop on? Okay, so let me unplug it again. I don't recommend doing this, obviously, while the system is on, guys. Okay. And now we're going to plug that in again. 57. Okay, so the batteries are green. Oh, see, there it goes. See that? See that huge correction, guys? That was a huge correction. All I did is I wiggled the cable here, so maybe it wasn't in all the way. These are very, very tough cables to get in there when they're in between something like this. But now notice that it updated that on the fly, right? That one can't do that. It doesn't do that. It takes a while for that one to balance. This one turns yellow right away and then turns green if they're balanced, and then it updates that power meter on the fly. This system is 1,000% better than that one because of that option in itself, right? Let me turn off some of these guys. They're all making fan noises over here at me. Okay, let's see here. Okay, and then I got to turn off. Boy, I got everything on, guys. Let me turn off all these things here. Okay, and then turn this one off, and then turn this one off, and turn that one off. Okay, so now back to this, guys. Notice how that went from 58% back to 39%. That quick, right? That quick. When you plug these batteries in, they should pop up right away. If it doesn't, wiggle the cable to make sure that it's a very, very solid connection. Okay? And then your last resort is, if that doesn't work, maybe push the, just tap the little button to say, hey, wake up, kind of slap it in the head kind of thing. And then obviously that change that power meter on the fly. But other than that, guys, we've been very, very happy with the models of both of these. We've used that one for more than a year, and we've used this one for more than probably a month now. Both of them are very good, but there's positives on this one, where there's positives on this one and negatives on that one and negatives on this one. So I'd like to see more of these, though. I love this. This comes in handy, guys, so you don't have to have that lunchbox with you, that brick. This I don't like. I wish they would have gave you an extra one. Guys, if you ever try to charge, I've seen 3 people already, I think 3, probably more, that I've helped with this already. If you plug it in and this system doesn't want to charge, this should be the first thing you look at, is this fuse, because if this is popped, it will stop the energy from flowing into the battery cells. That's what this is for. That means it got a spike. When you unplug something from the wall, sometimes you see that that little spark in the dark. Well, that could be very simple of what could pop that fuse. And if that fuse pops, you can't use the charging thing. So make sure, guys, that if you do get this system, unscrew this with a simple screwdriver, obviously not when it's on. Unscrew this with a flathead or a Phillips, and then you can pop that fuse out and take that fuse to the local car store or repair store, hardware store, and buy a small bag of those. I wish Pecron would have maybe sent one of those extra in the box, but I didn't see one unless I missed it. That way you have a backup plan, because I think the biggest thing is in emergency is a backup plan. And then what's more important than that in emergency is a backup plan, because you can plan, right? But what if your plan fails? Then you have to have a backup plan. And I think that's very important, just a small fuse like this. Now that one doesn't have it because it has charging bricks. Now the downfall of this system is if you want to have 2 ACs going in there, the charging bricks, you have to purchase the second one for $150 extra. That's a lot of coin to put that in there. Otherwise, you can max it out only about 550 watts, which is approximately 630 from the wall. You lose a lot in the conversion of AC to DC. Where this one's built in, you do lose the same amount of conversion, but all you have to bring is that little cord, though. So, that's a nice thing. rather than carrying that whole box. But like this one has that XT60 output. I can't wait to fully utilize this, guys. I haven't had a chance to fully utilize this. I want to try this on a diesel heater. I don't have one, and guys, we spent a lot this year on this stuff. So the money runneth dry, the welleth runneth dry. So we're going to wait a little bit before we start getting more stuff. And you know, this industry can wipe out your wallet so quick, especially if you're addicted to it like I am. And I have no problem admitting that. I love this technology. It's changed my life. It's had such positivities on the things that I do in life that it's almost unmeasurable. I mean, I went from running a motor in an RV, like we had this little special part on the back of the RV where we run a gas motor, the Honda EU2000i, and then we would have that for an outdoor, day or whatever, fishing or camping or whatever, or an event that we would go to, racetrack or, wherever. And you could, make noise and pollution, and it's dangerous because of the fire, the flames, the carbon monoxide. There's so many disadvantages with motors where I could put this system, this 7.5 kilowatts, or this one, or both of these, and have 15,000 watt hours of power in the RV at an event, and no one anywhere would ever even know we had this, because the solar on the roof, A, you can't see it, B, it doesn't make any noise, C, it doesn't make any smells, right, like the gas. I memean, this industry right here is going to be so big in the future. I can't even fathom what people are going to start using this for. This, if it gets big enough, this is going to start replacing things like that Tesla wall thing, where you can charge your whole house or power your whole house off that big battery bank. This is going to be probably in hospitals, offices, restaurants. This is going to be the backup of the future, because it's, like I said, it's safer. It's not poisonous as far as the chemicals that come out with the smells and the carbon dioxide, all that stuff. This isn't lithium ion anymore. So I think this is the absolute future for now, at least, until they find something, some space alien stuff that someone's going to bring, or who knows. But I think this will be, hopefully one day, something as simple as putting a bunch of these in the trunk of your car and plugging in a big cable like this, and then driving your car down the street. And then when the battery is dead, you take the battery, you put it aside, you put another battery in, and then you can drive a certain amount of miles, or like the Tesla, but interchangeable batteries. I really believe that this is the future. I really do. I'm not a big person as far as I know we should all do our part. I'm not a save the earth kind of guy. I know it sounds bad, but I don't go out and do the hugging of the trees and all that stuff. But I always try to make sure, just being a human being, that you try to have the littlest amount of impact you can on your environment. Like when I go fishing, I don't litter. I make sure that I clean up the ramp when I'm done, and I want that because the next generation has to have that opportunity that we had to go fishing and camping and biking and all that stuff without the world getting any worse than it is. Now, those of us who live next to very, very large lakes know how pollution is literally destroying the ecosystem and stuff of those lakes, and you can't even enjoy your outdoor activities anymore. And I think, other than the obvious drawback, the lithium in here, we can make an argument about that, and I stand open to that debate. As far as the pollution firsthand, like I could put this on a boat, strap it down, and use this to do a trolling motor, and I could go all day. Then when I bring this battery back home, it doesn't affect that lake, right? So, it is a positive negative, but if I were to bring a gas generator and put it on that boat and strap it down and use a live motor on a boat, right? Pollution, smog, carbon dioxide, there's so many disadvantages of that compared to the battery cells. So I'm looking forward to this future. I'm honored to even be a part of it, whether it's 1/100th millionth of a percent. I think this is the coolest industry out. I have not been as excited about technology since the drones and the RC world that I grew up with, and the drones obviously in the last 10 years. They've revolutionized the skies to where you can get up in the sky and see what those airline pilots that went to school and training for, or the Air Force people that, they have to go to the military and learn that stuff. And now you can buy a drone and put it up 400 feet is the law in our country, in the USA. 120 meters, 400 feet, and you can look around, right, and go, wow, the world out there is much, much cooler than what you think it is, because you're stuck in the environment that we're stuck in. So I really think that this technology is going to revolutionize camping, fishing, outdoor events, concerts. Matter of fact, guys, I saw a concert. It was in Illinois, in Chicago, and the entire concert was played by people that pedaled bikes into alternators, basically. And they ran the entire concert. You can see it online, guys. I recommend going and checking that out. They were able to do an entire concert with a bunch of people riding exercise type bikes, and they were all hooked to alternators, and they would all work together as a team and powered that entire concert with zero electricity as far as from the grid. They created what they needed, and then when they stopped, the energy stopped. So that, isn't that cool? So man, I'm really looking forward to the future here as far as all this technology. I don't care what company makes it, I want to try it. It's like candy to me. But at least we figured out, guys, the point of this whole video. I know I ramble on it, I do apologize, but we were able to go through and show that I wasn't just picking on Pecron. I think this system was just the first system I ever noticed that on, and I think that's a fair debate, because when I checked the other 6 systems here, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, actually we checked 8 systems here, 6 different companies. They all have different results to the exact same power draw. So now we know that it's not just this system. So I don't think there's anything wrong with this system. I think that that's just how the inverter reacted compared to that inverter, compared to that inverter. And notice that most of them had all different numbers, right? So I do apologize to Pecron if it sounded negative. I will be, you know, grumpy if I see something I dislike, like remember that 65 watt or the power brick. I didn't like those guys. So you know, I feel like I forced Pecron to update their game and change it, and they've come a long way, guys. You know, I remember telling them about these right angle cables almost a year ago. I said, man, I wish you have some kind of a smaller, tighter cable. And next thing you know, they popped up. So I feel like I don't work for Pecron, but I feel like part of the team in this hobby, because I'm putting my opinions, you know, and my money where my mouth is, to say, hey, I think this is a good idea. I think this would benefit our community. Smaller cables, right? If you say 100 watts, guys, you know, get on the ball, make this 100 watts, or I'm going to yell at you and over and over and over like a Chihuahua dog. So yeah, I think that'll be the end of the video, guys. So I just wanted to have an update for anyone that we had probably about, I don't know, 15 or 20 people inquire about that test with that meter. So I just wanted to kind of put it to rest that it's not the system, it's the technology behind that, which, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there was 8 different systems here, and they all had 8 different numbers for the most part. It did seem like, though, that the E1500LFP was the most accurate. I'll have to give it to that. And that was over the Bluetti ones. I was shocked with that, because the Bluetti ones have, you know, pretty high quality stuff in them. But all right, guys, well, that's the end of this one. Ramble on, be safe. If you're not a subscriber, join the subscriber family. If you know something we don't know, we'd love to hear from you. We want to learn the same as everybody does. This isn't who's right, who's wrong. This is how can we all come together as a team and enjoy this technology and our systems together as a subscriber family, right? And if, like I said, if you know something that we don't know, make sure you comment. You know, take a second, it's only a second, and say, hey, Bob, you missed something. Holy cow, we'll make an update video and say, you know, I didn't know that. And then now the rest of the subscriber family can learn that as well. All right, guys, ramble on, be safe, and we'll definitely see you here again on Ramblin Bob Reviews. Bye, guys.